Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, species around the universe, welcome to Geek Syndicate episode 340. We are doing what we always do. What's that I hear you ask? We are bringing the sass back to geekdom. I am Monts, and with me as always is...
The city. My city. Shadows. That's me. Shadowy figure. Vengeance.
Now listen.
That's me. Watching. Right. Waiting.
What's your
acting,
damn name?
Believing. Cooking.
Cooking?
Vengeance.
Cooking vengeance?
Man. Yeah.
Cooking vengeance?
Hey, look, man, I'm trying, because we're going to be talking about Batman later, and now I've seen Batman's all about the voiceover. I thought, do you know what I mean?
I don't know, that last one, I feel like you should change your name to The Night Chef.
Hey.
Cooking vengeance.
As we'd say back in
the day. With a vengeance.
As we would say back in the day, you joke.
Joe, what there's legs in there?
There's legs in there, Joe.
Behold, the Night Chef.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's like, no, man. He's dying. No. Get this man a plum pudding, stat. Who are you? Just call me the Night Chef.
This man a plum pudding.
That's all I had, man.
Is that going to help?
That sounds nasty, man. It sounds nasty, Joe.
So, just for listeners, all right, let me lay this down. All right, now we've been friends a long time, so what I'm about to say, I'm going to say it with a lot of love in my heart.
Okay.
Yeah? For people listening who aren't like that familiar with our relationship over the years, what you're seeing, people, what you're hearing, people, is that Barry is kind of basic. Yeah,
what's that supposed to be?
It's like, you can always tell what Barry's watched recently by the way he introduces himself, because it's like, I saw Batman. I'm going to do a Batman voice. Or, I saw Lassie. I'm going to come on barking a song. It's like, it's a little basic.
Wait, that's how you're going to come at me. We ain't recorded in 2 months, and that's how you're going to start off. Giving me grief. All right, man, that's fine. Now I know the tempo that we're running at. I will adjust accordingly. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
That's fine. Just remember, you brought this on yourself.
Just a little constructive criticism,
right?
It's like,
okay, no, that's fine. That's fine.
That's how we progress in life.
You're right. I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I appreciate the comments. All I'm saying is, you brought this on yourself. That's all I'm saying. That's fine. I accept the criticism. Just remember that as we go through this episode.
Okay, all right.
The last episode. So first off, I think we should say apologies, because we've not been about for a while.
Yeah, that's pretty much on me, because I've been on tour.
That's right.
I am, in fact, in Dublin, Ireland, as we speak.
I'm not going to try and do some kind of shitty Irish accent.
I couldn't help it yesterday. I did it around some Irish people.
But that went down well.
Well, best we move on.
Okay. So, shout outs. You got any shout outs?
Nope.
Okay. I want to give a shout out to H. She knows who she is. She's I
thought you meant the bloke from Steps.
No.
The 90s pop group.
No, this is a different H.
Okay.
New listener.
Hey H.
Who I want to quote by saying she said, I love Barry's insightful chat around geekdom. Always brings a smile to my face, despite being held back by Dave's inept banter.
Right. See, that sounds like something you could have written yourself.
Maybe. Maybe. But if H had sent the email in, I'm pretty sure that's what she would have said.
It's ridiculous. So you just put words in the mouth of a new listener.
No, I'm just cutting out the middle person. I'm just, I reckon that's what she would have said.
Straight from her brain to your lips.
That's right.
Okay, all right. I see what's happening now. I see what's happening. Carry on. That's good. Okay. Welcome, H. It's lovely to have you.
Yeah. And I want to give another shout out to our Patreon and Ko-fi subscribers. I just want to say a big thanks for supporting the show.
Most, what's the word I'm looking for? Appreciated.
There you go.
That's it.
Probably because it's a word you don't use that often.
Wow. All we're on.
Yeah, I don't warn you.
All right. Let's move on.
Okay. Oh, Anwar sent in a couple of emails that we need to reply to, and he's got lovely things to say about your Naked Geek podcast.
Oh, it's nice.
See, if you bothered to check the email, you would have seen the lovely things he said. Maybe you could have replied.
Oh boy,
just a thought.
Jesus.
Like I said, on yourself.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll into a bit of news?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the news.
Yeah, the news. News, life, death, birth, cooking, night chef. Anyway, news. So Dan Boultwood, artist Dan Boultwood, and
good old Dan.
Legendary snappy dresser. Do you know he's doing a web comic?
He's doing a what comic?
A web comic.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's going to be it's kicking off 1st of May. They're going to be coming out as bi-weekly episodes online. Rockets and Ray Guns by Dan Boultwood.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm liking that already.
Yeah, so that's kicking off, and I can't wait. Dan's one of those artists. I love his art. It's got his art has a real pulp vibe to it, and he's one of those sort of artists that I kind of feel like should be everywhere.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to be checking this out. Yeah. So Rockets and Ray Guns. If there's a link to be put in the show notes, I will put it in the show notes for people.
Yep, cool. I've just looked at some of the art for it. It looks proper.
It looks cool, kid, isn't it? It's got a bit of a Flash Gordon vibe.
Yeah, that kind of old school pulp vibe. Sci-fi vibe.
And the my next bit of news. So we've got the Ice Comic Convention, Ice Birmingham, which is going to be.
Been watching the news on that.
Yeah, it's going to be landing 10th of September 2022. If I'm about, I'm going to try and get down to it. It's at Edgbaston Cricket Stadium. But the main, so this is being sort of organised by Shane Chebs, a friend of the show. But the main reason I wanted to talk about it today quickly is because you heard the latest news. It's that Claudia
Christensen of Babylon 5 fame. It would be there. Yeah,
launching a new comic series. I don't know if she's launching it there or if she's going to be talking about it there. But also, from what I could see, some of the names they've so far touted are Glenn Fabry, Michael Golden, Jeff Senior. That's all I saw on the site. I'm sure I've seen more names on their Facebook page.
No, there's quite a few. It's looking nice.
Yeah, I know. I'm also planning to hit Thought Bubble this year if I can.
When is that?
November. I think it's November the 12th.
I haven't been for years. That'd be nice, man.
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem is that it moved. So it kind of, it's where it is now is further.
Right. Okay.
And I think that knocked a lot of people out. I think a lot of people were kind of like, do you know what? It was far enough as it was. Right. So the comic convention is on the 12th and 13th of November.
Right. Okay. Time to plan.
Yeah, there don't seem to be any. Again, I think if you go on their Twitter, I think there's more guests announced. But on here, if you go on the website, when you click on the guest link, you don't get anything.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
it's in Harrogate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, I know where that is. I have friends there.
Oh, okay. What friends that will put you up?
Probably not. No.
So I'm just having
Oh, look, we've seen it. Gail Simone.
Oh, okay.
Christian Ward, David Aja, Raphael Albuquerque, Magdalene Visaggio. Those are the only ones I can see.
That's a nice starting batch, though.
Yeah.
I think Gail Simone was supposed to come the year before and didn't. So I'm guessing it's just kind of moved on to this year. Because I know Because I think they've already done that thing where they've
Oh,
said,
geez, man.
What?
This says, sadly, within an hour of the guest announcements, the news broke of the passing of long-standing British comics artist and legend Ian Kennedy.
wow.
That's harsh.
Yeah, I've had a few people this year. But so I'm gonna try and I'm hoping this will be the year that I kind of reinvigorate my creative side a lot more, because I haven't been to any conventions in.
I was having this discussion quite recently, and I realised that I've really missed that.
Yeah,
and I think part of being on the tour that I'm doing at the moment, it's been a real good chance to catch up with friends I haven't seen for ages, and a lot of those friends are friends I've met through the comic convention scene, and it just made me really aware of what I've missed out on in the last few years.
Yeah.
And and I miss it. And the the expo at MCM,
mm-hmm.
It's great and all, but it's not the same because you don't get that kind of social vibe that you get with some of the more sort of localized and smaller comic conventions.
Yeah.
And so what goes with that as well, I've kind of missed. It's been a while.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, maybe we should try and hit football together then.
We'll
have a bit of a chat, because and if you do come and any money, maybe think about something closer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Birmingham's doable.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Do you know what I mean? And I think they're doing. I know it's further, to be fair, but I think they're doing another Bristol comic convention, which is being organised by the guys who did a Tripwire magazine.
Oh, really? Joel and that?
Yeah. They did a Kickstarter for it, if memory serves.
Okay.
So I'll have a bit of a dig into that, and we can report back next episode. Anywho, as Conan would say, enough talk.
Enough talk.
Well, I say that, enough news. So do you fancy a bit of week that was?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the week that was.
Do you want to go first?
Week that was. I'm just going to start with a comic because I don't read as many comics as I'd like to. And this one's called Batman Urban Legends 14. So there's an anthology comic, which is sort of Batman, and it's different sort of Batman teaming up with different superheroes and dealing with different stories and so on. And in Batman Urban Legends 14, and I had to go out of my way to get a special edition because it was an alternate cover with Batman and the Question on. And you know my favorite character is the Question, so I had to get it. And it's a really nice cover. And I was like, yeah. And I couldn't find it in any of the shops. And I was like, I was on tour and I was going into all these different, I was finding out all the different comic shops in different cities and going in, and none of them had the alternate version. So I had to get it online, and I got it shipped to Truro in Cornwall. And then I got COVID again, so I had to go home, so I couldn't collect it. So someone else had to collect it. And I was like, I want this comic so bad. So Batman Urban Legends 14, the first story is Batman and Zatanna, part 4 of a 6-part story. The second story is a one-off Batman and the Question. Then there's the first of a 3-part story with Birds of Prey. And then the last one is part 4 of a 6-part story with Ace the Bat Hound. The story's called Hounded. I was like,
do you know what that's good? I was about to diss it, and he said the story title. I was like, okay, back in the room. All right, back in the room.
So I haven't read that one. I kind of saved that one for last because I'm like, this one's got to be special. You know what I mean? But I jumped straight last night. Actually, as we talked last night, I jumped into that Question story.
Yeah,
and I was like, I loved it. I absolutely loved it because it felt like, so I feel like the Question's a classic character, and then they killed him, and then they brought him back as they do. And he just had this great character arc in his own comic. And then they started to play around with him, and they made him much more of a conspiracy nut. And then when he was on TV, what was it? Justice
League Unlimited.
Justice League Unlimited, they really ramped up the sort of the conspiracy and slightly weirdness angle.
Yeah.
And then there was another take which made him kind of like this weird city-like shaman and stuff. And then they did one called Many Deaths of Vic Sage, a Black Label thing, which was great, but it was still a bit out there. This comic felt like let's wrap all that up and let's put it in a little package and let's inject it into a bit more of the classic question. So they weren't getting away, they weren't throwing away the conspiracy angle, but they were kind of making it a little bit more not normal, not so weird.
Yeah.
And it just felt like I was reading the classic question, but they'd taken into account the different directions they'd gone in since. So they hadn't thrown that all out with the bathwater. They brought it all together and it worked. And his interaction with Batman in this is brilliant. And I'm not going to, just in case anyone wants to read it, I'm not going to say what made it so good. But it was, I just want to say, hold on, I should say who the writer is, really give credit where credit's due. It was written by Ryan Cady, Giuseppe Camoncoli did the pencils, Cam Smith did the inks, Sebastian Cheng the colours, and William Schubert the letters. And I just want to say, all round great job, folks.
Nice. So that's Batman Urban Legends
14. Yeah.
All right. I'll have to give it a look. See, weirdly,
also, just for Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah, Ace the Bat Hound. Weirdly, same as you, I've got a comic, and so I've been on this bit of a thing at the moment where I've been struggling with geek content, as in, I don't know if it's decision fatigue, being overwhelmed, or just not feeling stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
And in the last 2 days, 2 properties have completely not turned me around, but what I realized is a lot of the stuff I was watching just cause, and actually they weren't really doing anything for me.
Okay, cool.
I'll give you an example. So I'm watching Titans season 3.
Right, yeah. I haven't got into that 3 yet.
Yeah, I think I'm on episode 3 or 4. And I'm kind of watching it all over my lunch break and stuff. And I feel like I've been on this latest episode for 2 years. And
that's not good.
No, and whereas this one show and then I started watching this other show, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I'm already on episode 3 of that one. I just literally finished the first episode and went straight onto the second episode.
What was that?
I'm going to tell you that one in a minute.
Okay.
So coming back to comics. The comics I was really struggling with, partially because of all the nonsense with Comixology. I just found it really difficult to get out of the comics and be recommended comics and stuff like that. But there was a comment back on mine that I kept meaning to check out for ages. And even though I think we'd been sent review copies somewhere, I decided to pick it up on Comixology because I actually knew what the comic was I wanted. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. So
this is The Last Ronin from IDW. Have you heard of this?
It's an old property, isn't it?
No. This started it kicked off, I think, in 2020.
Okay.
It's 5 issues. I think the 5th issue has only come out recently. But it's a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, okay.
Right. So let me read you the blurb.
The surprise in my voice.
Right, yeah, let me read the blurb, right? Springing from the minds of TMNT co-creators Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird comes an epic like you've never seen before. In the future NYC, far different from the one we know today, a lone surviving turtle goes on a seemingly hopeless mission to attain justice for his fallen family and friends. Actually, I won't read the rest of it. I'll just say that bit of it. So that's the story. So basically, it's set in the future, and there's one turtle left.
Oh, okay.
And he's trying to kind of avenge his family. The team on this is Kevin Eastman, obviously Peter Laird, who they created the Turtles. Tom Waltz is a writer. Andy Kern, artist. Luis Antonio Delgado, colorist. Sean Lee, letterer. Mate, I read the first issue, which I think was an extended issue, and went straight away and picked up the second issue.
Yeah.
Remember how you felt, right? So now we have so many of these kind of comic stories, which is set in some kind of future where everything's gone to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah.
But you remember how you felt when you read Age of Ultron?
Yeah.
For the first time? Or
no, I never read it.
Oh, okay. What's the future? Oh, maybe I'm sure.
Old Man Logan.
Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking of, because I think it was you that put me onto Old Man Logan. This is basically the first issue of it that I read anyway, and I think even more after now that I'm about a third of the way through issue 2. This is basically Ninja Turtles do Old Man Logan, or in this case, like old Turtle.
Yeah.
Old Ninja Turtle. There we go. The art is phenomenal. The way they convey kinetic movement and action, phenomenal. Lettering is fantastic. Characterization, spot on. Because one of the things they do, it's a mild spoiler, but you have this turtle, and what's really great in the first issue is what you quickly realize is you don't know what turtle it is.
Oh, okay. He's masked up like a Ronin.
It's not only is he masked up, it's the fact that he's carrying
all their weapons.
He's carrying all their weapons. So you like, I don't know which turtle it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You do find out by the end, and I won't say any, I won't spoil it. But he kind of talks to the other turtles. So it kind of, it's that whole, a little bit like sort of Kurt Cobain's, he talks to the other turtles. And he's basically on this kind of suicide mission to take out the, I think he's the grandson of Shredder. Mate, honestly, this comic it put me back into comics again.
Really?
I thought I was drifting away from comics. In fact, I said as much when I was talking to Stacey the other day. On Stacey and Barry in the Morning comes out every weekend. And this comic, I'm like, this is why I love comics.
Right. Okay.
I guarantee you. I'll tell you why. Right. Back in the day, I remember reading the first 2 volumes of Ninja Turtles when it first started. The very first 2 volumes, and I think back in the day, back at school, I think me and you talked about it because I remember we both loved it because they were basically turtle ninjas, but they did not mess about. They were killing people left, right, and center. They were ninjas. And then it kind of got a little bit when the cartoon came out.
Yeah, and they had to make it. The cartoon became about the merchandising, and then they had to tone it down. And
a lot of things sort of got toned down and stuff like that. This feels like you could have read those first 2 volumes and then you moved on to this.
Right.
Because this first issue, my boy ain't playing. He ain't none of that cowabunga and cracking jokes. He
Cowabunga.
You know what I mean? Don't you think he's cracking his skulls, man? He ain't playing. He's taking out people. He's there for a mission. It is boom. Cannot recommend it enough.
All right. That sounds. I like the idea. I think what really appeals to me there is the not knowing which turtle it is.
Yeah. And I didn't realize at first because I think it was in the original comics. I think whenever you saw them, like because they were in black and white originally, and then it was obviously the covers were color. But I'm sure on the covers they all wore red headbands.
Yeah.
And the only way you could tell them apart on the covers was you saw what weapons they had. And then when you got to the cartoons, they then had their headbands had different colors, so you could kind of tell who was who, And it was only, I got about halfway through it and I suddenly realized I don't know what turtle it is. I thought I had ideas, but then that kind of bounced back and forth, So nice. Yeah, it's you got to get on it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't recommend it enough, man. Right, yeah. So the show that I was going to say, so this is a show that like I've blitzed through, and it hurts me to say this. It genuinely, I've got a pain in my chest to say this. To say like, I should have listened to you. I should.
Go on.
Way back when you were telling me on and on again how much I need to get on this show, and I was kind of like, yeah, all right, man. Rain it.
What was it?
Right, Doom Patrol.
Oh, mate.
What you should have said to me was it starts in the 1940s with ex-Nazis and a villain. That's all you had to say, and I would have been it.
Fair enough.
You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
But I sat down to watch the episode yesterday, and I put it on a whim. Do you know what I mean? I was just like, Yeah, go on then. Let me just stick it on just to get out of the way, see what it's like, you know. And I thought I'll watch it whilst I'm eating some food, you know, watch first 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I was halfway through episode 2 and I had no idea that happened.
Yeah.
It was right up my street. Because it had, what I liked about it as well, like you said, all the stuff that you said about it being weird and being quirky and stuff was all there. But the underlying tone was pulp.
Yeah.
The underlying tone had that kind of wacky, proper old school pulp. Do you know what I mean? Where it's that kind of weird science adventures type style of pulp, you know? And the way they do things, even the mansion that they live in. So people that don't know, the Doom Patrol are basically a
team of misfits.
A team of
They were like the X-Men, but the comic actually started before the X-Men.
Yeah.
But that was the whole idea. A team of misfits that don't fit in come together because they're the only one who could tolerate each other and just taking on the missions that normal superheroes can't.
Yeah.
And it's not quite like that in the show because they still haven't figured out. They still haven't come to terms with themselves, really. So a lot of it is just reacting to what's happening.
I was going to say, because as much of it is the fact that it's a superhero show, it's more of a character study.
Yeah, absolutely.
On kind of like, you know, loss and all sorts of different things. And it's these kind of fractured people who kind of, but together they kind of make themselves whole, I guess. I don't know. I'm only getting that vibe. I've only watched just 2 episodes, but that was the vibe I was kind of getting from it.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like, you know, in their own way, they're kind of quite like, they have moments about them that are likable, you know?
It's the fact that they're so flawed. And when you like them is when they stop being dicks and you see their vulnerability.
Yes.
And you see the reason that they can be dickish is because they're just in pain a lot of the time.
Especially the Robot Man dude.
Oh man, can you imagine?
Yeah. Woof. Also, there's some cracking dialogue in it.
Yeah.
Some cracking one-liners, man. I think it's the first time the robot guy gets introduced to, I keep calling him the Invisible Man. I know he's not. He's
the Invisible Man.
Is he
Negative Man. Negative Man.
Yeah. But he looks like the Invisible Man.
Yeah.
Because he's all bandaged up and stuff. And how a man he's got his face covered in bandages and he's wearing like sunglasses and a long coat just looks cool.
Yeah, I know.
I know like I'm supposed to feel sorry for him. But I would just keep thinking, dude, you're rocking that look, man.
He is.
Just put a hat on that, mother, and you're sorted. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think the only character that felt a little bit out of place for me was Cyborg. But I got past it very quickly. But
I think, yes, I see what you mean. But I think it's because it's almost like he's coming more like your classic superhero.
Yeah.
And it kind of jars against.
But I think also, as an old school sort of Doom Patrol fan, it's Beast Boy. If you're gonna do a Titans cameo,
okay.
Beast Boy kind of grew up with them.
Right. Okay. Of course, because because they had a crossover in Titans.
In the Titans. Yeah.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to go, all right, this is another alternative universe. Because it's like it's a multiverse of places.
You just roll with it.
Just roll with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I like is that DC are doing something different.
Yes. So hold that thought for when we come to talk about the Batman.
Okay.
So you got any? Do you want to do one more and then we'll go on to...
Cool, yeah. I discovered, I've been watching, while I'm on tour and I've done a lot of traveling, so I've been watching a fair amount of stuff while I'm traveling. And when I upgraded my phone, I got like 3 months free of Apple TV.
Oh, yes, I got that deal.
So I was like, well, while I've got the freeness, let me do. While I've got the freeness,
just rinse through as much Apple TV as I can.
Rinse it, and I watched the first episode of 3 shows. One's called Invasion, one's called C, and one's called Severance.
I've seen Severance, not the other 2,
and I liked them all. But the one and I've actually watched all of Invasion now. I haven't watched any more of C.
Is it What's Invasion like? Is that worth a watch then? Was that if that's what you're going to go and talk about?
No, I was going to talk about Severance, but all right, let's talk about Invasion. I can talk about Severance next time.
Okay.
Right. So Invasion is basically all over the world. It takes place, and it's filmed in all these places. Yeah, it takes place in the Middle East, in London, in New York. Is it New York? I can't. There's 2 American locations. Mm-hmm. One's like one small town, the small town sheriff, and the weird bit with Sam Neill in it.
Oh yeah.
For the first, he don't appear again after the first episode, so that's a bit of a minor spoiler. But it's a bit weird. And you kind of you're following this family, you're following this kid from a comprehensive school in London, and it was proper London school. It's proper London chat. Yeah, I was loving it. Goes, yo, what's up, Casp? Yeah, Eddie was saying he saw some side boob. Yeah, no way. Oh, he's lucky, man. I was like, these kids. But then they get into some shit, man. So it's like, but anyway, basically you're following all these different. You're following an American soldier in the Middle East. You're following this family in America somewhere. These kids in London. You're following. There's someone else. Oh, there's a woman in Japan who works for like the Japan Space Agency. And basically things start going wrong, sort of like meteors start hitting the ground, communications gets cut out, no one knows what's going on. And you slowly start to realize that it's an alien invasion going on.
Right.
And none of these people are kind of connected, but even up to the end of the series, you still don't figure out all the connections.
Right.
You just get hints of the connections. I really, really enjoyed Invasion, but because to me, it felt like War of the Worlds.
I was just about to say, as in the new War of the Worlds.
It's like a new War of the Worlds.
Okay.
It's like let's do and some of the ones that we've watched recently, I'm like, this is just nonsense. And the last BBC one was like, oh, this is it, because you are seeing Invasion from the point of view of 5 different groups of people.
Right.
That they don't know what's going on. Yeah, except what they get from the news or from soldiers or from whatever. There's some seriously flawed characters. A mother in it. Her and her partner are terrible parents. And actually, I'm not even sure she's a very nice person. Some of the decisions she makes, you're like, damn. Like, I understand, it's a harsh time, but that's just a harsh thing you just did there. The North London kids are brilliant. I love everything to do with them. But the thing that I'm warning people about, I think I really enjoyed this series, but if you don't do well with slow, then stay away.
Okay.
This is a slow burn, man.
Okay. Which is weird, because that's part of the reason why I haven't started watching it yet. Because for some reason, even though the trailer looked quite action-packed, there was a part of me that thought this is going to be slow,
It's proper slow.
Yeah, and I just don't know if that's my speed at the moment.
It's 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And I think there's some great moments in it, but it takes its time to get there. And there's no full-on... I mean, there are some fights with aliens, but there's no real full-on action scenes.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's why I haven't watched it, because I thought that's what I wanted, but a part of me, when I watched it, thought, I ain't going to get that, am I? Do you know what I mean?
Because it's a bit where you go, when's this invasion going to happen? You think, oh, it's happened. The military's been fighting, but these people haven't really seen that part of it because they're not in the military, apart from the guy that is. And his fight is so like, what the fuck's going on? That you kind of like... So yeah, that's the thing. I think it's great, and it's got a season 2. I'm really looking forward to it. But slow burn, people, slow burn.
Potentially, when I cleared the decks, I might circle around to it.
Yeah. And next time we could talk about the series that gave me nightmares, and that's Severance.
Yeah, well, I think I've got 3 episodes of that to watch. So
you finish it, and we'll talk about, because that last episode.
Have you finished it now?
Yeah. Okay.
Let
me tell you, this is not a spoiler. There's no spoilers here. But the last episode finished, and I was like, I don't know if I actually breathed for that entire episode.
Okay.
I was on the edge of my seat, man.
Did you watch it all in one? Did you binge it?
I did.
This is an interesting thing quickly, and then we'll get into Batman. So we had, I think, the first 4 or 5 episodes. And we watched them all in one go, and we loved it. And then it came out weekly, and then we struggled with it. And Sue basically stopped watching it.
Right.
and I said I want to see how this ends. So I heard things kind of take a bit of a turn. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely want to finish it off. But I think had I had to do it again, I would have watched it all in one go.
Yeah. No, I get that. I do think it works that way.
Yeah, because of the tone of it.
But yeah, totally. There was one thing that happened that I literally went. It was one reveal that happened, and I was like, "What?"
Okay. Say no more. Yeah, next time we'll chat about it then.
Yeah. No. Cool. Oh, big fan.
All right.
Right. It's time for our main now. We're going to talk about the Batman.
Dum 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 dum.
Is that the actual music, or you just
dum dum dum? Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
So my claim to fame, all I know, it's just really weird because I was up in Glasgow and somewhere else. Both places where like bits of the Batman were filmed.
Okay.
And I was in the theatre in Glasgow, and someone went, "Oh, you're a geek, aren't you?" There's a guy from Glasgow. I went, yeah. And he went, "Literally, step outside the theatre and look across, and that's where Batman was filmed."
Nice.
Or was that Liverpool?
No, I do. I think
it was both places. I think there was bits. Yeah, because there was a building in Liverpool that he dived off, and there was a bit. Yeah, so I've kind of like, I was right there, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." Seeing it, I also saw it when I was on tour as well. So it's like, yeah. So yeah, Batman.
So it's a difficult one because I feel we can talk about it without spoiling it. You know, I think we can. So we'll see how we go. If we do end up spoiling stuff, then I'll put a little thing on to say there's going to be spoilers. But our plan is to try to discuss it without spoiling it.
Yeah, it might be hard. Oh no, I don't know. I don't know. Let's go.
Yeah, we see how we go. See how we go. Or mild spoilers, maybe. I don't know. So I've got to start with a joke, right? Which isn't indicative of my thoughts of the film.
Yeah, go on.
Right. So actually, look, I'm going to say people up front. We'll talk about Batman. Odds are we're going to spoil it. It may only be mild spoilers, but if you don't want to be spoiled, this might be a great time for you to like jump out of the episode. So, we'll say thanks for listening, and we will see you next episode.
Yep. Cheers.
All right.
Sorry about that. So
to you Bat fans that's still here, let's crack on. So first off, when this started, so I watched this I did the premium rental thing. Because I knew like 3 hours, I'm watching this at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can take breaks and stuff.
Mate, I genuinely took a picnic to the cinema. I'm not even lying. I took a picnic, man.
A batnik.
Yeah.
And so anyway, we kind of like got all our popcorn, sorted all that, and like sorted ourselves out, and I put it on, and it started. And it starts with him doing a voiceover.
Yes.
It's like, I'm the Shadow City. Da, da, da. Honestly, my first thought was like, why does he sound like Arbed from Community? Because you know that episode when he does Batman?
Yeah.
Right? Go and listen to that episode again, right? And tell me, and then go watch the Batman and tell me you don't think of Arbed.
That is hilarious. Oh, that you've just changed it now, man.
I'm telling you, I had to make a real adjustment in my head to get around that point. Quite quickly I got around it, Anyway, so overall thoughts, like.
Are you asking?
No, yeah, I'm going to ask you because I've done a little chat today. So, what were your overall thoughts?
Well, the thing is, I went in there totally nonplussed. I've said before, I like Batman. I'm a Bat fan, but when it comes to movies and TV, I kind of got a bit of Bat fatigue. It's the same way I feel about Spider-Man. I'm kind of like, as much as I enjoy the Spider-Man films, part of me still going, Spider-Man again. I mean, there's so many characters to play with, and here we are again. Okay, and it's like, you talk to people who don't know me. Oh, I don't really like. Do you like superheroes? Oh no, I don't really like Batman. I'm like, there's so much more than Batman. Come on.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I was nonplussed, and I went to see it. I was going to watch it at home, like you, but I was in Manchester, and the people I was living with were friends. Went, "Oh, why don't we go and see it?" And I went, "Okay, fair enough, let's go." Made a picnic, went in there. And given that I was nonplussed about this movie, I did not mind the 3 hours I was sitting there. And I came out going, I've really enjoyed that. So I'd gone in not expecting to feel anything, come out going, that wasn't a waste of my time at all. So, yeah.
You see,
I thought he was a good Batman. I think his Bruce Wayne was a little bit underdeveloped, but as Batman, it was all right, but a little undeveloped. I think his Batman was quality. Yeah, there's other elements that I could talk about, but I don't know if you want to jump in.
Yeah, what I was going to say is, so basically, I was the same as you. I was completely, hence me watching it, and, not just for the 3 hours, but I was kind of like, we've only just had, it ain't been that long ago, we had Ben Affleck as Batman. And I don't care what people said. I love Ben Affleck as Batman. Right? I love the Nolan films. Do you know what I mean? So we've had so much like Batman. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of like, but what intrigued me was the selling blurb for this film was that, like, they were going to lean into Batman's the world's greatest detective. That was the thing that made me interested in this.
Yeah.
And that's what made me love this more than anything. Do you know what I mean? More than the visual. I mean, the visuals, they had some wicked visuals, but it was the fact that I'm like, finally, we got Batman actually doing some detecting. Do you know what I mean? So I thought, same as you, I thought Patterson made for a good Batman. It's that same thing when you got announced and loads of people lost their minds over it. Like, I just held my noise because I'm like, how many times you've been there before, man? Where someone's been cast and everyone's going, he's gonna be rubbish. And, oh no, he's actually quite good. It's like it comes a time where you just got to like change the record and then just hold it down until someone gives you their performance.
Yeah.
And I thought his Batman was wicked. I thought the opening scene with him just established, one, that he was Batman, you didn't mess with him, and two, that he was a great detective. And I love that they kind of did that quite quickly. Even when he's just prowling the streets, do you know what I mean? Looking for someone to beat down. He's picking who he's going to do it to, so he's going to make the most effect. He's going to make the most effect on the criminal under element. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you, I felt his Bruce Wayne. Yeah, it was all right. You didn't really see much of him because, to be honest, we've always said this. You have two Bruce Waynes. You have the Bruce Wayne who is effectively Batman without the cowl.
Yeah.
And so in many ways, the sort of normal version. And you have the Bruce Wayne, the public persona of Bruce Wayne. And I think that's the one that we don't really see. And I think someone made a good point about this. And I thought this as well. It was kind of like, it's great that he's running around like beating up people and stuff. But it would be nice if actually he used some of them billions to actually help Gotham.
Yeah.
And I listened to an interesting like podcast review, and they went back and forth on that topic. And then someone brought up Batman the animated series, where they said actually they nailed it in the animated series. They nailed Batman the detective, and they nailed Bruce Wayne, because you got Bruce Wayne. He was this kind of playboy, spent money like it was water, but at the same time he was a philanthropist who helped the city and stuff. And I've always liked that kind of version, the way they do it that way. But, I also like the fact they're trying something different. So going back to the Doom Patrol stuff, what I'm loving about what DC is doing at the moment, Marvel are sorted. They know what they're doing. They've got their stuff going on. Do you know what I mean? But what I'm loving about DC is it feels almost like they're now leaning into that kind of like, do you know what? Sod it. Do what you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like someone's just come to.
It's like, you know what? We can't play catch up no more. Like you said, they know what they're doing. They got the jump on us. Let's just do what we do.
Yeah, and I think it was that thing of, whole Justice League and Batman v Superman and blah blah blah. Didn't work from a commercial point of view. Whether or not it worked for you critically is a different thing, but from a commercial point of view, putting bums and seats, it didn't work. And that would have been their time. If that had worked, then they would have done the whole kind of like, DCEU, whatever you want to call it, and really kind of gone to town there. That didn't work. What's happening now, I feel, is they're just going,
Let's just do stuff.
Someone's just rocked up and said, look, I want to do a Batman film where he's the world's greatest detective. Yeah, sure. I'm going to do a Joker film, but he's not, but Batman won't be in it, and it's more of a character piece and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, fine, man. Go for it. It feels, so that's why you're getting these kind of vastly different films in tone.
Yeah.
Shazam is vastly different from this. Aquaman is different, and I think the Flash film that they're doing will probably be different again, because that's going to have, I think that's like a time.
But I mean, just going back to what you said about, Batman not being a philanthropist in this, and I think what is great is that this, we had Ben Affleck, which was the old, tired Batman, which, I felt could have been explored a bit more. That had a bit more legs.
Yeah.
But you got the fresh one now. What, he's been there for 2 years in this? He's new still.
Yeah.
And, what this film was really about, his journey to go, actually, maybe the Batman is needed, but is it the only way I could? It hasn't even occurred to him at this moment.
Yeah, there's a definite character arc in this film in terms of him coming to realize that, the whole I Am Vengeance thing is it's a useful tool, but he's got to go a bit beyond that if he actually wants to affect real change within Gotham.
Yeah.
And Sue said so. I mean, Sue didn't like it. Sue didn't like it at all. But something that she said that kind of I agreed with. She said, I could see this Batman growing up to be Ben Affleck's Batman.
Right. Oh, interesting.
Now, I don't think they did. I don't think they've done that. I don't think they necessarily set out to do that. But it's interesting that originally the Matt Reeves one was going to be with Ben Affleck, wasn't it?
Was it? I can't know.
Remember. Well, I know Ben Affleck was originally going to do a film called The Batman, and then it all went wrong. But I definitely got a sense that if you turned around and said to me, like, this is going to be the Batman that will become Ben Affleck's Batman, I'll be like, yeah, I could see that. Because he's got that violence and he's got that aggression and he's got that. And it's almost like he's kind of gone, no, I've got to try and temper that. But then as the years go on, he almost kind of goes back to how he was in the beginning, or in some ways worse. So I kind of see that. I also liked the way he fought in this.
Go on.
Because there ain't really, because the way they tried to sell it to you is that effectively Alfred trained him.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, while we're there, I just struggled. I thought Alfred was pretty surplus to requirements in this movie.
If I've got to say, if there was a weak link in this film, it was Alfred.
Yeah.
Which is weird, because normally he's the strongest link in the film. Normally that's the one they really, and it's that dynamic that makes for the film a lot of the time. Michael Caine's Alfred was money.
Absolutely.
But what I find interesting in this one, it was his relationship with Commissioner Gordon that almost that was
fantastic.
Yeah. But yeah, the fighting, what I liked about it was that there was nothing flowery once.
No.
He was just beating people down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He weren't doing like flowery, like spinning kicks, and he was just grabbing a man, beating him down, and if he went to get up, you got a couple more licks until you stay down.
Yeah.
And I kind of, so that sort of level of, I don't want to say I like that level of brutality, but there's a bit.
It fits.
It fits. And there's a scene right at the beginning, and to be fair, it's in the trailer, and another part of me wishes I hadn't watched the trailer, but it's in the trailer, where you got about 20 guys, right? Now, really and truly, I know that, like, you're Batman and you got all these skills and blah, 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 blah. But really and truly, if 20 men rush you, you're done.
Yeah.
But what I liked about that fight scene was because the first guy stepped up and mouthed off, and the way Batman took him apart.
Yeah, everyone else was thinking twice.
Everybody was thinking twice. You know what I mean? He looks up and he's like, I'm vengeance. And you just go, you know what? Maybe you are, dude. Do you know what I mean? And you start to question yourself and think, this guy is dressed up like that and he's just taking out Bobby like that. You know what I mean? And they do rush him.
Taking out Bobby.
You don't like a Bobby. But they do rush him. And what I quite liked about that fight was it wasn't like one guy at a time. They all rushed him, and he was taking blows as well.
He was
taking blows. Every fight in that film, he takes blows. But it's just his style is so like brutal that a lot of them just weren't getting up because they had a broken leg or a broken, it almost reminded me a bit of Daredevil in that regard. But no, yeah, I loved his relationship with Commissioner Gordon because it really came across that it was two against the Gotham's corruption, and that was all they had was each other.
And and someone put a picture, goes, yeah, the sad thing about this picture, it shows that they are blatantly each other's only friends. And that's not healthy.
No, I mean, it's not. Yeah, it's not healthy.
But it says something about Gotham. It says something about where they are and why they work so well. But yeah, no, that was just a brilliant portrayal of Gordon. I also liked his relationship with Catwoman because they didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
And it grew, and there was a mutual respect that grew as they started to understand each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, most other shows, it's like things are going on, the world's about to end, blah, blah, blah. We've still got time for a snog and sex and whatever. And this was like, well blatantly we haven't. I mean? So let's, it was just like, it just wasn't over, it was just right. It was just right. There, and her character made sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the way they folded her into the story worked because then it made sense for her to be involved in it as much as she was, rather than trying to kind of shoehorn her in. I thought Colin Farrell's Penguin was wicked.
I'd had no idea it was Colin Farrell until the credits.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I was just like, wow, and that wasn't Colin Farrell, that was just the Penguin.
And what was great about it was, and all the characters was, because you had Carmine Falcone in there, whatever, was that they all felt like the characters that we know, whether it's from the comics or whether or not it's from, cartoon or previous films. But yet they also felt very grounded and realistic. And I know one of the things that when they did Nolan films, one of the things he said was, I want to do a more grounded Batman. I was like, how could Batman exist in today's world? But I almost felt this one went like another level on that vibe. Because even like things like, there's a bit where he's getting chased by the cops and he has like the wingsuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's even stuff like that, and it's the fact that like
also the way he used the wingsuit, you feel like he hasn't even really tested it out yet.
Exactly.
He looked proper nervous.
He looked proper nervous, man.
Yeah.
And also, like, as was came out of Dark Knight Rises as well. It's like, I get it's trying to be grounded in reality, but like I can't take credit for it. It was another reviewer that said this, but like, imagine you're sitting at home, right? You used to work for like Wayne Tech or something. You're sitting at home, like eating your Rice Krispies or something, and there's this, and it comes on the TV how they're chasing this kind of like this sort of machine through Gotham City. You know the tumbler thing that was, and it was defect Wayne Tech, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And you're sitting there eating with your family, going, hang on a minute,
didn't I work on that?
Didn't I work on that? That's the tumbler. What's that doing? Hang on a minute. Maybe it's Bruce Wayne. Do you know what I mean?
Because like the only way you're gonna hide that is if you kill the whole creative team after that.
A little bit like the pharaohs when they built the pyramid. Do you know what I mean? It's like you bury everyone in there with you.
Yeah.
So but you kind of make allowances for it. But what I quite liked about this one was because Batman himself was quite grounded into, he didn't have a lot of gadgets. I mean, he had the contact lenses, but aside from that, he didn't have that many different gadgets and stuff.
Yeah.
The Batmobile was just like a souped up car.
Yeah.
And I mean, the Batmobile, that was a Batmobile, man.
Yeah.
Would you?
No, yeah, no, I was just about to agree.
Yeah, that was a wicked car chase as well. But no, yeah, it was, and I think that's the thing of the film is, which is why I didn't necessarily think would spoil it, was because it's not great to say. I thought the Riddler was,
right with the Riddler,
right? I thought the Riddler, up until a point, was for me, one of like my fave Bat villains I've seen in these films. Right? The concept of the way they did him, I thought he was wicked because he was like properly one step ahead of everyone.
I mean, again, like I say, I keep away from stuff. I had no idea that the main villain was the Riddler.
Yeah.
So when I first saw him, I was like, is that a scarecrow? Is that whatever? Is that? And then it was in the shadows at one bit, and I was like, is that like from the Court of Owls? I had no idea, yeah. I went through all these like options in my head. Then I read it's the Riddler, and I was like, it's a cliched sentence. I was like, this ain't your daddy's Riddler. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This was a totally, and I was like, how do you take a character that you know from walking around in a green suit with question marks on it and a funky hat, bowler hat, and turn him into a villain that's truly terrifying?
He was terrifying. I mean, I still have to give props to Frank Gorshin back in the day, Riddler, man, because that's still my Riddler from old school Batman.
Yeah.
He was wicked, man. But anyway, to go from that Riddler to this dude, there's a bit right at the beginning where I think it's the mayor, and he's in his house or whatever, and the camera sort of pans, and he's kind of walking, and then I suddenly realized that the Riddler was there, or someone was in the house, and that's kind of one of my kind of like big fears. Do you know what I mean? In your house and
home invasion.
Yeah, exactly, home invasion. You know, and then what happens after? You just like this guy's not. He's playing on a different level, man. I loved him. I loved the way he did him. I loved his reveal. Even that, I know we've already spoiled stuff, but even that, I'm working. If people are listening that have just kept listening, I'm not even going to spoil that bit of it and what his plan is. I'm not even going to talk about that. I loved him right up until the end. And then this bit I will spoil because it's the only way I can. And then they dropped in this tired, let's get in a little link to another film.
Oh,
thing,
man.
where he's in a cell and the person next to him is clearly supposed to be the Joker.
I literally, like I said, I came in totally nonplussed by this film, come out and I really enjoyed that. The only point of the film where I found myself sighing and going, was that moment there. When I'm like, why, if I didn't have bat fatigue before, I bloody well got Joker fatigue.
It just didn't
need it. And this is what I said to you the other day, was that you have managed. Riddler, in my mind, has always been kind of cast as a poor man's Joker. And you took that character and you made him unique. You gave him something. You made him terrifying. You elevated him from like a B-list villain to like an A-list villain with style and aplomb. And then you go and drop the Joker in it.
You
didn't need to pull the rug from out under him there.
And you almost took away all these kind of supervillain agency with that.
Absolutely.
Because it was almost like we were supposed to be kind of like, oh, what, the Riddler's all right, but man, look, it's a Joker and the two of them are going to team up. No, I'm not. I don't care. Didn't care.
It's like, why? Can we do a Batman film without the Joker as a? I'm sure. Come on, man.
I thought we had up until that point.
Yeah.
And you know what, right? It wasn't necessary. Now that I think about it, it wasn't even the fact of him teaming up with another villain. It's the fact it was the Joker.
Yeah.
Because I think there was a villain back in the day. I'm trying to think of like a really rubbish villain. There was a villain back in the day, and this is the old Adam West one. There was a villain called King Tut.
Yep.
Yeah. If they'd somehow managed to do the same thing with the Riddler and put King Tut in the cell next to him, and he was a completely different King Tut, and it was only afterwards we'd almost come away and we're chatting about it and go, hang on a minute, that guy.
That was King Tut.
Man. Okay, I'm in now. You know what I mean? But like, or even like he got sprung from prison and he got taken, he's another kind of philanthropist, billionaire, blah, blah, blah. And the more you chat, the more you realize, hang on a minute, that guy's King Tut. And maybe he's got followers and it's like a cult thing. I don't know, you know? So I didn't necessarily have a problem with them trying to like sow seeds for a sequel in some ways. In other ways, I'm like, I don't need it. Just do another film if you're going to do it. It's the fact that it was the Joker. And it was the fact that like you're trying to almost like play those buttons on me. Like that was going to make me excited.
Yeah.
I was going to leave the cinema excited because I'm going to get to see like Batman going up against the Joker again. Whereas I'm like, you actually had the opposite effect. And if I hadn't enjoyed the previous like 2 hours and 50 minutes, you know, I would have been leaving that cinema screwing. Well,
absolutely.
By cinema, I mean my front room, but you know.
Yeah.
But aside from that, because we've been talking long enough. Aside from that, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought the music was good.
I just want to mention with Paul Dano, and what I love about Paul Dano, who played the Riddler, is he's obviously invested in this character because DC have hit him up DC have got what do you call it? Kind of a label, an internal label, whatever you call it. I can't remember what you call it.
Imprint.
An imprint, thank you.
Yeah.
DC have got an imprint called Black Label where they kind of do these one-off, out of continuity, kind of really dark stories. So, you know, really adult. When I say adult, I don't mean full of sex and swearing, but adult in terms of themes and so on. Stories. And they're doing a Black Label comic called Riddler Year One, and it's being written by Paul Dano.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, he's obviously proper invested in that character. So I was like, yeah, I thought that was a nice little thing going on there.
Yeah. As I said, I was trying to think if there was anything we missed story beat wise. I mean, as I said, I loved the Riddler's plan. I loved the fact that a lot of it I didn't figure out. The last parts of his plan I didn't figure out. It was only because I happened to glance at my clock and so I thought, hang on a minute, it's still half an hour to go.
Yeah.
And I liked I liked the fact they went pretty grand with his master plan.
Yeah, it was a good plan, it was working. And they went places with it I wasn't expecting.
No, and you could make the argument that it certainly it weren't a failure. You know what I mean?
No.
Someone made this argument as well. There's a whole thing of where they were looking at the Waynes as almost not quite as clear cut, not quite as goody two shoes as they always had been in previous incarnations, especially Thomas Wayne and stuff. And I kind of like that idea that you don't get that rich by just being a goody two shoes.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a dark, you know what I mean? There's a bit of a dark side to that. And I kind of like that they kind of went into that. They could have probably gone further. You know what I mean? I think there's an element of we can't make his dad a completely despicable character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we got to kind of rein it back a little bit, hence the little scene they had with Alfred. Kind of
I think you kind of have to, because it's a big part of his motivation.
It is. And I think the way they'd set him up, because I've seen other reviews where they say, no, they should have done that. They should have doubled down on it. But I think, and then he has to deal with it. Well, no, he probably would have dealt with it by just stopping.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of got killed when he was a kid. I think he's dealing with enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. He's got enough on his plate, you know. But I really, really enjoyed it. I thought, as I said, I think one of my high points in this was Commissioner Gordon. I thought he was wicked.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and I think as a result, one of the things I was looking forward to in a sequel is just watching more of their relationship.
Yeah.
And how that develops.
So, you know what I mean? Matt, if you're listening, probably not. If you could, like, you know what I mean, scratch that Joker nonsense, we're all right, then we've got a game.
Yeah, works for me.
Cool. Right then.
Right, yeah. So, don't know what I was going to say then. Well, you know the deal, people. Let us know what you thought. Did you agree with us? Did you not agree with us? Do you want to check out any stuff we talked about? If you've got anything to recommend, let us know. You could do it on Facebook. You could do it on Instagram. You could do it on Twitter. You can send us an email at thegeeksyndicate.co.uk. Check out the website to keep abreast of the episodes that come out under the network. And yeah, till next time, Geek Syndicate, we out.